The bats had a battle, and it got immortalized in bronze. Here's a look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse, The Dark Knight Returns Armored Batman Patina Edition. As a child, Bruce Wayne watched as his parents were brutally killed in Gotham City's crime alley. Traumatized by their deaths, he devoted his life to becoming the world's greatest weapon against crime, the Batman. He's a master detective and an expert martial artist, and his greatest weapon, though, is his mind. Batman has a plan for every occasion, as well as high-tech weapons, gadgets, and vehicles to assist him in his relentless pursuit of justice. Now, after 10 years of retirement, Batman returns in an armored suit and ready for an epic battle to determine the fate of the Earth. Batman is featured in an exclusive patina paint armor, incredibly detailed 7-inch scale figure based on the DC Multiverse. Bruce and the metal suit that he wears seem to have one thing in common. They're both starting to show their age. Just before, of course, we get a closer look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Batman The Dark Knight Returns Armored Batman Patina Edition, I'd like to thank, if I can, the folks over at McFarlane Toys that were kind enough to provide this sample. This gold label collection version of Armored Batman is also a McFarlane Toys store exclusive for 2024 and is only having 6,200 pieces released of it worldwide. The figure, though, of Batman is going to stand at 7.5 inches in height, or standing in Soup's way, Batman is 19 centimeters tall. As I guess you could probably already guess it, Batman is using the same mold as the 2-pack Armored Batman that got packed along with the Man of Steel. He does have some balancing issues. Actually, this figure does have it as well, with some loosely developing ankles. But you can see that they are using the exact same mold. We did also as well get another Armored Batman, although it's a completely different mold. Same armor, essentially from like the neck down, but a completely different head sculpt. Sadly, while not coming included with gadgets, Batman does, though, have at his disposal a display stand, a podium standee to hold the card, and some swappable hands. First, the thing that we'll have a look at is the display stand. I gotta say, though, I'm a little disappointed with the way that the stand was handled. It's a circular stand, that's not the disappointing part. But while assuming initially that this was molded in gold plastic, unfortunately I was disappointed to see that it looks like what they've used is a black display stand, as there's the DC logo still peeking its way through the paint. They brushed on the gold, but maybe a second coat probably would have done it better, because you can still see like some of the black plastic bleeding through. Has a peg, though, to the corner. I will say certainly use the display stand, as this Batman does have a lot of back heaviness just due to the cape that he has on his body. The figure does also come included with the podium standee. Now, with this being a patina edition, the whole idea in mind is supposed to look like oxidized bronze. Now, with the display stand, what they've done, and they will also do with Batman, didn't want to drop that, is that they start this first with gold, and then my guess is that they then maybe paint on the bronze, or maybe they paint on the oxidized color, or perhaps it's the other way around. Maybe they start, in fact, with a darker color. That's probably what it is. They started with maybe like a dark blue plastic, and then they painted over the bronze over top of it to give it that oxidized look. Maybe that's what they're also doing here as well, but I don't think it works maybe as well as the standee. The standee, though, as you probably would guess it, also does house the card. We're going to slide that off carefully. The card itself does have Patina Edition featured on the side. It does have Armored Batman featured on the bottom, and a decent image, though, of what the character is going to look like. The back, though, will not give you a read-up. What it gives you instead is a certificate of authenticity, indicating that this is an officially licensed release by McFarlane and his team, and out of the 6,200 releases, this one is indicated as P18. Todd's signature is down below. You don't have to worry about rubbing that off. It's just a printed on image. But nice little card. I mean, I like that they actually include certificates of authenticity on the back. If you really do want to read up, you can always go back to the original Armored Batman and get it that way. Let's just put this back on the standee. And for these, usually, I always put them with the standees. I never put them in my trading card sheets. They go specifically with the standee. I might as well have them on its display the way you're seeing right now. Now, Batman does also come include some swappable hands. He has these mauling hands. Now, already on the ends of his forearms, he has a closed grip, a punching fist, and then he also has a gripping hand, a relaxed hand on the other side. If you like this idea and you want it on this side, you would just pop that hand off and replace it with this one instead. Or there's also this available option too. This hand isn't really that much different from the hand that he already has. I mean, like just picking up the figure and show you guys. Very close. Maybe, I don't know, they probably may have used the plastic instead of giving him essentially two almost identical hands. I know obviously this one looks more like a trigger finger hand, but having hands so close like this and not coming included with accessories, I probably would have maybe done away with one of these hands in favor of maybe a grapple gun. The hands themselves, again, very much similar to the podium, starts kind of with more of a greenish blue, and then they paint the coloring over top of it. You can look on the inside there as well. Some of it has looked like it's chipped away. I mean, obviously, I've only swapped out the hands a couple of times, but it adds to kind of the idea that this thing's made of metal. The hands themselves will kind of put off to the side. We'll also move the podium out of the way here. Getting a closer look, though, at Batman. The thing I really like about this one is it lends the idea that this is more of a statue than anything else. Patinas, you have to kind of tread this cautiously because some of the characters, I think, work a little bit better than others. Being that this is Batman as it comes to blows with obviously, Superman, I think I can buy more to the idea that this thing would have been essentially a statue. Maybe a battered Bruce would have this maybe as a monument, something that would be standing in the back of the Batcave. I mean, essentially, though, it is still using the original 2-pack Batman. So you can see, like, the head sculpt's a little bit more comic accurate. Bodies, though, are exactly going to be the same to one another. I love the forged out metal that they've done for the body, even though this is obviously comprised of plastic. The Patina edition has that exactly as well. There really isn't anything that I can see from one to the other that would say that this is uniquely sculpted specifically for the Patina edition. They are, in fact, identical head sculpts and identical bodies as well. Now, also bringing back in that original gray Batman, the gray armored Batman was also sold separately. You can see it has a completely different head sculpt. We've done reviews of all of these, by the way, so if you missed your chance to see that the first time, go back, watch it again. But with this head sculpt, you can see it's a little bit more modernized for an armored Batman. I always kind of like more like the bucket head sculpt for the armored Batman. So this is a little bit more up my alley. Same body, though. Same capes as well. We can flip this around. You can see the capes are sculpted exactly the same. And he has the same style of treading on the bottoms of his boots. Now, speaking of boots, though, one of the issues that I did have with the original armored Batman, I suppose it's, if anything, something that's more developed over time, is that his ankles have started to develop a bit of a looseness. Just with so much weight on his body and so much weight on the back with his cape. I mean, it's just something that's eventually going to be inevitable. The figure does have a little bit more of a looseness standing. I did, though, notice, though, and it may have something to do with the fact that they're using this mold again, that his ankles are even more looser. So definitely would recommend, though, if you're looking to pick this figure up for yourself, and I would really highly recommend it, make sure you are attaching the display stand on the bottoms of his boots so that when you're putting him on the shelf, poor Bats isn't going to take a tumble. Now, for the figure's articulation, I guess we really haven't spent nearly enough time really talking about the detailing on this figure. Now, again, I would imagine that they probably would have started this perhaps with this bluer plastic. It's sort of more of an aquamarine or kind of a teal-colored blue, and then they would have brushed over top of it this gold. It gives us, again, a really natural-looking oxidized bronze. Head sculpt looks, again, really quite good. It has to look unfinished. That's the whole idea in mind. I don't really expect, looking at picking up a figure like this, that I would want this figure to be completely bronze or completely gold. Having those little touches of detail, like the paint bleeding through, lends more to the idea that this character would have been an oxidized metal. Again, it looks a little more rushed when it comes to the display stand, but it works exceptionally well when it comes to this character. The cape as well, you can see, does have that, again, that teal color that starts as the basic plastic, and then they would have painted the bronze over top of it. It works really quite well for this particular Batman. I don't know if I would say you could just randomly select any Batman from any of the previous released DC Multiverse figures, slap on some bronze and call it Patina Edition. There has to be like specific ideas in mind. There has to be a purpose, a plan in mind as to why you choose this Batman over others. I think like the armored Batman is the best example of a Batman you could use as a believable statue displayed in the back of the Batcave. Now, for the figure's articulation, going back to that head sculpt, the head's going to be like with the original on a ball joint. It allows the head to rotate all the way around. You can have the head looking up and down and move back and forth. Some attention to detail as well. If you move the head back like this, you can actually see that they've sculpted in the neck. It's something, though, that gets lost completely when you have the head moving forward like this or tilted forward. But I like that they actually took the time to sculpt the neck. The body, the upper torso of the body is going to be on a ball joint. A little bit more limited, obviously, because there's so much more bulk here, but the Batman torso does have a ball joint. You can bring these arms out. Now, the thing about the arms is that the shoulder pads are attached here, not up here. So it means that when it comes to bringing out his arms, there's only so much that you can actually do with them. Sure enough, they, though, rotate all the way around. You're not going to have any issues there. He has no bicep swivel from the looks of it, but he does have, though, a swivel in his arm. Now, of course, there is also a hinge in his elbow as well. Hands rotate also all the way around, a little on the loose side, but not as loose as the ankles. There's no hinge that I can see as well. It looks like it's just a straight swivel. The legs do split out about that far. You can take the legs and obviously move them forward and move them back. There is a swivel at the top of the thigh. The figure does have Looseness, unfortunately, in the knees, but he still has double hinges in his knees. No articulation here down below for his boots, but he does have an ankle pivot up and down, an ankle rocker. And this version of Armored Batman does still have, like the original, an articulated toe. In the end of it, though, I mean, obviously with this being a gold label collection and being a Patina edition, they're not going to go back to the basics, back to the drawing board and sculpt the figure from scratch. No, they're obviously going to be using one from one they've done before. And I think that this is a prime candidate for one that would be a Patina edition. I mean, not that Batman is... I mean, he could be vain in the sense that Batman always seems to keep like a trophy of his armors, similar to Iron Man. I think if anything would be a prime candidate for a hull of armors, would be the one that Batman does use as really one of the few times Batman has worn an armor. But I think that this is a good candidate for an ideal release as a Patina edition. I don't feel like the colors, I mean, again, we're only really getting two colors really treated to this character. The original release did have the lighter blues. It had kind of like that darker metallic blue and some beige colors in his utility belt. This Batman only really relies on that teal color within the brushing of the bronze over top of it. Didn't really need necessarily accessories. I suppose it doesn't. I mean, at the end of it, you still get yourself a podium standee, whether you want to display it with the characters or not. You get also as well a display stand, which, you know, again, I wish that this was only just molded in the gold plastic and not just painted over top of an existing one. And then he also comes included with display stand with extra hands. I don't think he necessarily needs to have extra hands. I mean, yes, he probably could have maybe used a batarang, a grapple gun. But at the end of it, though, I mean, he only comes with some swappable hands, which I guess is more than enough. For me, at least, depending on how you like to display these things on your shelf, I would really like to treat, though, the Patina edition of the Armored Batman from The Dark Knight Returns more as a monument than an actual figure. Now, if you've never had any experience ordering directly from McFarlane's site, but you've had lots of experience ordering directly from GameStop, the good news, though, is the Patina edition of Armored Batman is right now showing as a pre-order on GameStop's site with a release date of October 11th, 2024. The time that I'm shooting this review, that's only a few days from now. So when this review eventually goes live, so will be the listing as well on GameStop. The figure is going to be going there for $39.99. I really like Patina edition figures myself, and like I said in this review, a worthy candidate of a Patina edition would of course be the memory that Bruce has when he beats Superman. The figure does have, because of he's using the same mold as, 2 times before, he's got a little bit of a looseness, though, in his knees, and he's developing some looseness in his ankles. You're asking a lot, really, of this frame of Batman because there's so much weight on him, especially with the heavier cape on the back of his body. Providing, of course, you are using a display stand that I'm using right now, you shouldn't have any problems with Bruce taking a tumble. When it comes to his accessory count, it's quite small. The figure only really comes included with the display stand that could really have afforded a little bit more extra paint, the podium standee that of course houses the cart, and some swappable hands. I can't see myself ever really feeling the need to change the hands. I think a punching fist is fine if he's battling the Man of Steel, and a couple of gripping hands, I mean, I can't see myself ever really changing those. But a nice looking Batman, one that I'm definitely looking forward to putting on display. May not, though, be displayed with the other two Battle Armor Batman. This one might even just be displayed with just a regular Batman, as again depicted like this is being displayed inside the Batcave. What do you guys think of this figure? Let me know down below in the comments section. Is this one you guys could see yourselves picking up? Again, as mentioned, it's limited to only 6,200 pieces worldwide. You can either go, again, the route of going to McFarlane's site, or again, you can also order this from GameStop. A big thank you once again to the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did provide this sample. This was the DC Multiverse Armored Batman from the Batman Dark Knight Returns, and this was the Patina edition. If you guys did enjoy this video, do it a solid, throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more so? I hope so. Hit the subscribe, turn on that bell, and of course come back. Of course, we are going to be looking at some more McFarlane Toys stuff, but in the meantime, if you need your fix, popping up at the very end of this video will be playlists both for Batman and DC Multiverse. And of course, as always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.